The interesting thing, I guess, about that business was I was very involved because we were fortunate to be one of the first suppliers when Mike was there and Sean Phillips. In fact, I remember going to the office in Poole, probably not far from where you are, and the process was I used to come there with a bunch of samples, and Sean would show them to Mike, and Mike would stick his thumb up, and that was it. It was like, yeah, okay, we're going to put this in our club. So it was quite an interesting company that started very, very small and expanded massively, and obviously is not really around too much nowadays. So what are some of the, from being on that journey as a small club and taking it to where it is, and then sort of seeing it come full circle? What are some of the lessons that you've learned as a leader in the fitness industry from that?
As you would say, times when they look good are never as good as they shine, and when they are bad, they're not as bad as they look. And I think we are in the same situation right now, similarly. But look, we have had some tremendous years. I joined the business in 1998 in Germany as a marketing manager, and we had 6 gyms. And I was brought to the table to open the 7th and then expand the business. And within 6 years, we had almost 90 gyms. So it was fabulous. The UK at that time had 17 gyms, and it had over 100 in this time frame. And it started to roll out into Holland. It started to roll out into France and Spain. Then Australia came on board, then Asia. So it was an immense growth story. So in a way, it was on the stock exchange. There was a lot of money around, and everything was focused on expansion. And I think that was the big mistake at that stage, that we never really looked on the existing business. And that's something, which has ring true over the next 10 years I've been involved with the business, that if you don't look after your existing member, and you don't look after your staff and your teams, then, you might have a couple of 5-10 years good role, but in the long term, you will not be successful. And I think that strategy really only hit us really when in 2005, in 2012, a possible listing on the stock exchange evaporated. And I think since then, Fitness First has been on a more humble road and on a more focus to the member and the team's activity.
So would you say then it was the sort of I guess the focus of the company, as you say, was on expansion, and it was probably just keeping the investors happy because they wanted to see lots and lots of sites opening, and so you were very successful at doing that. But once that changed, and that wasn't probably quite as important, they struggled to make the shift to sustain the business. Then is that pretty much what happened?
Yeah, and I think that's in every relationship, whether it's private, whether it's business. If you just look after to gain, to grow, and to do this, and you're not looking after the partnership, then you struggle. And I think there's numerous examples in the health club industry who have done the same thing. We remember all 24-hour being once the biggest in the world. You had other gym chains, Healthland, you had Curves, you had so many chains who focused on expansion. And time will tell, when companies like Anytime, like F45, when they really move so fast, is this the right angle? So what we've done with the business nowadays here is that we have set it up as a multi-business company, multi-brand company. So we formed LifeFit Group last year, and we have added other brands to our facilities. We have now have Fitness First in Germany with around 60 gyms. We have about 20 gyms which are in the low cost segment, and they're expanding fast. We have Barry's Bootcamp opening up as the boutique, offering around for 20 years, slow ramp up. So really focus on quality, coming in Frankfurt in October, and then in Berlin in January next year. So we really start to differentiate and to diversify. And I believe this is something which is happening in the industry, that the consumer has changed with all these offerings and all these new initiatives. And I think when you are focused on one model only, then you struggle over a 20-year lease to maybe have just one offering in that lease. So we have started to convert some of the Fitness First now into the Smilex brand. We're looking even in one of the smaller Fitness First to put the berries in. So it gives you more flexibility. That's why we believe something like this is potentially the right future, to really focus what does the customer in that location really want.
And with some of the lessons then from the sort of scale rapidly model, do you as well as providing different solutions for the customer, do you think there's any operational things that can do so you kind of get that balance between just opening locations but ensuring that you're building a business that's sustainable? So is it having more focus on looking at, simple as it sounds, just more focus on trying to provide good value to the customers that are coming in, or is there any other things that you've seen that if you'd have done that Fitness First thing again, that you'd have said, well, okay, I'm gonna do this differently now?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think what really works well is if you have different teams working on the individual activities. If I would do it again, I would have a teams for clubs who are open longer than a year ago. And then you have clubs who are open longer than maybe 3 years ago. And then you obviously have a pre-opening team. And I think because the nature of the business and who is the customer in those sites changes. And I guess that's the big learning, that you need specific teams for certain areas. You can't have someone who is doing pre-opening and trying to fill a gym at the same time looking at a gym who is 3 or 5 years open, who just need to maintain the membership level. It's just two different skill sets. One is a hunter and the other one is a farmer. So that's definitely a learning we would apply.
Yeah, interesting. And what about the role as a leader? You've been at the head and your team that you've put around you of a lot of people, a lot of organizations, across a lot of different regions with very, very different sort of ideas. What are some of the things that you've learned over that time as a leader? And I suppose, where are you now compared to where you were when you was in the middle of all that expansion? Wow,
that's a big question, isn't it? I guess you learn to how you be a leader. You actually learn in your private life. The personality you develop there. And when I look back at my childhood, I've never been the most popular kid in the class. But I've always been given responsibility. I was one of the head boys in the school. I was with the scouts. I then developed into a person who is in a team. I was actually, despite only being 5'9", a decent basketball player. Would you believe that? So, very passionate. I'm not very good in individual sport. I'm better as a team player. And not because I'm naturally, I had a decent 3-point shoot range. I even could dunk, but I never become a Michael Jordan. But I could get the best out of my team. And I think when I look at all the things I've learned throughout my private life, you become a personality. And when you're then in the job, you apply those learnings you got. So in the job, I've had 21 positions in those 20 years at Fitness First and our LifeFit Group, and I had numerous positions at the same time. And what I always find is that I just wake up and I'm interested in almost everything. I'm interested at one moment how you take a shower head apart and how you really do that, or an air condition. And at the same time, I'm interested in how are the sales number working, how you do a sales call, what's the email, how does it have to say? And when you have an interest in what your teams are doing, you find out, can they do their job? And I've surrounded myself with people who are much better at the individual task than I ever been. So I was a marketing director at one of my positions. You know what? Wrong guy for marketing in general. But I could judge my team around me, can they do marketing? So actually, I was the right position because I could really get them, the online guys. I could get the CRM guys. I could get the people who do the outreach. I could get them by asking good questions to achieve their maximum and their potential. And I think as a leader, it's important that you show interest in what your teams are doing, and that you actually also understand maybe 40-50% of what they're talking about, so you can judge, do they actually, do they do the right thing? Are they on the right track? Do I need to fill in? Do I need to say, oh, maybe you ask to this agency, or you bring a new team player in? I think that's one of some of the learnings you get over the years.